Good evening, live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh, coming up in the next hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says Operation Sindoor is not about seeking revenge but delivering justice. Asserts price of Pak-sponsored terrorism will be paid by their army and economy. External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar echoes India's stand in the Netherlands, says Operation Sindoor has a core message, a befitting reply to every terror attack. India asks Turkey to urge Pakistan to end supporting cross-border terrorism and start acting against the terror ecosystem. President Trump ambushes South African counterpart with claims of white genocide. President Ramaphosa counters claim, says White House visit a great success. In his first public rally after the success of Operation Sindoor, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday highlighted the Indian Armed Forces' bravery during the operation. Addressing rally in Bikaner, Prime Minister issued a fresh warning over Pakistan that said that there will neither be any trade nor talks with Pakistan. If there will be any talk, it will be only about Pakistan-occupied Kashmir.
भारत माता की, भारत माता की, भारत माता की, वंदे 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 वंदे।
Prime Minister added that Operation Sindoor has set three principles to combat terrorism. First, if there is a terrorist attack on India, then a befitting reply will be given. Second, India is not going to be scared by any threats of atom bomb. Third, we will not see the masters of terror and the government that patronizes terror as separate. India will consider them as one.
हमारी सरकार ने तीनों सेनाओं को खुली छूट दे दी थी और तीनों सेनाओं ने मिलकर ऐसा चक्रव्यूह रचा कि पाकिस्तान को घुटने टेकने के लिए मजबूर कर दिया। साथियों, 22 तारीख के हमले के जवाब में हमने 22 मिनट में आतंकियों के 9 सबसे बड़े ठिकाने तबाह कर दिए। दुनिया ने और देश के दुश्मनों ने भी देख लिया कि जब सिंदूर बारूद बन जाता है तो नतीजा क्या होता है।
And in a significant move, a high-level all-party delegation from India, led by JDU party's Sanjay Kumar Jha, has arrived in Tokyo, Japan. Their mission to brief the Japanese leaders on recent terror attack in Pahalgam and India's Operation Sindoor, urging the international community to bolster efforts against cross-border terror. Paulami Barman brings us more from Tokyo.
India's diplomatic push against terrorism gains momentum on the global stage. India's message is clear. Global challenges require global resolve. From New Delhi to Tokyo, the call for united action against terror grows louder. The high-level all-party delegation is already here in Tokyo. The team led by Sanjay Kumar Jha also consists of Team MCs Abhishek Banerjee, CPIM's John Brittus, Aprajita Sarangi of the BJP, Brijlal of the BJP, Pradhan Barua of the BJP, Salman Khurshid, a former minister, Hemang Joshi of the BJP, and Mohan Kumar, former ambassador. The team has been taking forward India's clear stance against terrorism, that India has zero tolerance against terrorism in any form or manifestation. Also, it will not tolerate any state sponsoring or supporting terrorism in any kind. After a warm reception at the Indian Embassy in Tokyo by Ambassador Shibi George, the Indian delegation paid floral tribute to the statue of Mahatma Gandhi at Edogawa Ward in the presence of the municipal officials, symbolizing India's commitment to peace. Throughout the day, the Indian leaders held series of crucial meetings. Talks were held with Japan's Foreign Minister Takeshi Iwaya, former Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga, and the chairman of Japan's House of Representatives. JDU's Sanjay Kumar Jha, who is also leading this team of delegates in Tokyo, made it clear that India will not differentiate between terrorists and those who sponsor them.
Basically, to uprise the state-sponsored terrorism by Pakistan. They are the one who fund them, they are the one who train them. You cannot differentiate between the terrorists and those countries who sponsored and promote terrorism. So that is the message we'll give to the Japanese people.
The Japanese Foreign Minister Takeshi Iwaya extended heartfelt condolences to the victims of the Pahalgam attack and reaffirmed Japan's support for India's fight against terrorism. They met the former Prime Minister of Japan, Yoshihide Suga, the Foreign Minister of Japan, and also the chairperson of the House of Representatives in Japan. The delegation mentioned that the leaders have pledged to stand by India and that they have strongly condemned the Pahalgam terror attack.
And another high-level Indian parliamentary delegation arrived in the United Arab Emirates, UAE, on Thursday morning, marking a significant milestone in India's broader diplomatic campaign to build international consensus against terrorism and enhance regional security cooperation. The visit is a key component of Operation Sindoor, launched by India following the recent terror attack in Pahalgam, reflecting New Delhi's steadfast zero-tolerance policy towards terrorism in all its forms. The delegation held extensive discussions with Dr. Ali Rashid Al-Nuaimi, Chairman of Defence Affairs, Interior and Foreign Affairs Committee of UAE Federal National Council, along with other FNC members. These talks further deepen the strategic cooperation between India and the UAE in counter-terror efforts. Led by Shiv Sena MP Dr. Srikant Shinde, the multi-party delegation's visit represents a meaningful advancement of India's diplomatic strategy to forge durable international partnerships against terrorism, with the UAE reaffirming its role as a critical ally in the shared mission.
We already are cooperating. You see, it's not something that negotiable from our side. Our commitment toward Indian national security is non-negotiable. India is a strategic partner. It's not only with the government, it's with the people, it's with the nation.
The stand of UAE is very much clear. Is zero tolerance against terrorism. Our Honorable Prime Minister, whose message to the whole world is also the same, that is zero tolerance against terrorism, and we are carrying this message to the entire world. All these years, India has been suffering from cross-border terrorism and also the organizations which are proliferating in Pakistan, who are spreading these terrorist activities across India. So all these minute details we are sharing with the entire world.
The all-party delegation also held productive discussions with Dr. Jamal Muhammad Obaid Al-Kabi, Director General, National Media Office, Discussions covered the role of media to counter terrorism and extremism. Honouring the ideals of peace and tolerance of Bapu Mahatma Gandhi, the all-party delegation paid floral tributes at the bust of Mahatma Gandhi at the embassy compound. Dr. S Jaishankar has arrived in Berlin, Germany on the third leg of his three-nations visit. Earlier, External Affairs Minister visited the Netherlands and Denmark. He was in the Netherlands from 19th to 20th May, while he visited Denmark later from 20th and 21st of May. In Germany, External Affairs Minister chaired a regional conference with Indian ambassadors in Europe in Berlin. On social media platform X, Minister Jaishankar shared that discussions focused on Operation Sindoor and India's message of zero tolerance for terrorism. The conference also explored strategies for deepening India-Europe engagement during a time of geopolitical change. Earlier, speaking to a Dutch daily, India's External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar said that the decisive day was May 10th, when India responded to Pakistani attack by hitting 8 Pakistani air bases and making them non-functional.
The response targeted these 9 places which were the terrorist centers. They are, as I said, the places are all shown in a UN list. I mean, these is where the terrorists work and live and operate from. Now, after that, the Pakistani military chose to fire on us, and we responded. This went on for 4 days. And after that, the decisive day, I would say, was the 10th of May. On the morning of 10th of May, in response to an attack which they had launched on us earlier that morning, we hit 8 air bases. We basically made those air bases non-functional. That, I think, compelled the Pakistani military to accept that we need to stop firing at each other.
And reiterating a strong message against terrorism, India's External Affairs Minister said operation in eliminating the terrorists continues. He added that the operation is not the same as firing on each other.
The operation continues because there is a clear message in that operation that if there are acts of the kind we saw on April 22nd, there will be a response. We will hit the terrorists. If the terrorists are in Pakistan, we will hit them where they are. So there is a message in continuing the operation. But continuing the operation is not the same as firing on each other. Right now, there is an agreed cessation of firing and military action.
And the minister stated that the cessation of firing between India and Pakistan was achieved through direct military communication between the two countries and not via any international mediation. He ruled out any US role in this understanding or any possible talks with Pakistan.
The US was in the United States. I mean, obviously there were US Secretary of State Rubio and Vice President Vance had called up. Rubio had spoken to me. Vance had spoken to our Prime Minister. They had their view, and they were talking to us, and they were talking to Pakistanis, as indeed were some other countries. Yep. I mean, the United States was not alone in this. I think there were some countries in the Gulf. There were some others as well. That happens naturally. When two countries are engaged in a conflict, it is natural that countries in the world call up and ask and try to sort of indicate their concern and what they can do in such a situation. But the ceasefire, the cessation of firing and military action was something which was negotiated directly between India and Pakistan. We made one thing very clear to everybody who spoke to us, not just United States, but to everybody, saying, look, if the Pakistanis want to stop firing, they need to tell us. We need to hear it from them. Their general has to call up our general and say this. And that is what happened.
India's External Affairs Ministry held a weekly media briefing today. Speaking on all-party parliamentary delegation visiting key nations, spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal underscored The central idea behind the political mission is to make a strong outreach to the world on India's stance against terrorism, stressing that India wants the world to hold accountable those responsible for cross-border terrorism, particularly Pakistan, which has been practicing it against India for the past 40 years.
The central idea behind this objective, this is a political mission. We want to make a strong outreach to the world to convey our resolve to fight terrorism. We want the world to come together to fight terrorism tooth and nail in all its forms and manifestations. We want to exhort the world to hold those responsible for cross-border terrorism accountable. Those have been practicing it for the last 40 years against India, that is Pakistan. Their actions need to be called out. They have to be held accountable for the terror attacks that they have carried out against India. So that is the larger message, the unity of India, the purpose of India, and we will also, this will be an occasion for us to thank our international partners for the strong support, sense of solidarity that they conveyed to us in the wake of wake of the terror attack in Pahalgam.
And on Turkey, India's Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Randeer Jaiswal asked Turkey to strongly urge Pakistan to end its support to cross-border terrorism, take action against the terrorist ecosystem.
On the question of Turkey, well, we expect Turkey to strongly urge Pakistan to end its support to cross-border terrorism and take credible and verifiable action against the terror ecosystem that it has harbored for decades now. And relations, as you know, are built on the basis of sensitivities to each other's concerns.
Still to come on DD India Newshour. US House passes Trump's sweeping tax cut bill. 2 Israeli embassy staffers shot dead in central Washington, lone suspect held. UK signs Chagos deal with Mauritius to seal future of US-UK airbase. Welcome back. You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. South Africa's opposition party, Economic Freedom Fighters, said that they would not stop singing "Kill the Boer" chant. The remarks came after US President Trump played videos claiming to show evidence of white farmers being killed in South Africa during a tense Oval Office meeting with South African President Cyril Ramaphosa.
The tense White House meeting between US President Donald Trump and President Cyril Ramaphosa triggered global headlines on Wednesday. Trump surprised his South African counterpart Cyril Ramaphosa by playing a video of Economic Freedom Fighters leader to back claims of a white genocide.
But we have many people that feel they're being persecuted and they're coming to the United States. So we take from many locations if we feel there's persecution or genocide going on. And we had a lot of people. I must tell you, Mr. President, we have had a tremendous number of people, especially since they've seen this.
In response, Ramaphosa tried to put a brave face. He termed his visit to the White House as a great success.
And we were able to, in discussing all that, want to confirm that there will continue to be engagement between South Africa and the United States officials, particularly the trade and industry level, to deal with the package of issues that we had tabled that have to do with trade and investment.
So, who are the white South Africans referred to as Afrikaans? Afrikaans are individuals whose ancestry primarily traces back to Europe, particularly to Dutch, English, French, and German settlers from the 17th and 19th centuries. The Boers are descendants of Dutch-speaking colonists who settled in South Africa during the 17th and 18th centuries. The term Boer translates to farmer in both Dutch and Afrikaans, essentially a mixture of Dutch, German, and French settlers. Boers formed a unique cultural group. In 1948, South Africa's Afrikaner-led government introduced apartheid or apartness, taking racial segregation to a more extreme level. Afrikaners currently number more than 2.5 million out of a population of more than 60 million, accounting for about 4%. South Africa's opposition party, Economic Freedom Fighters, said they would not stop singing controversial "Kill the Boer" chant.
I think as the EFF, we were not surprised first and foremost by the theatrics that Donald Trump pulled on the South African delegation. It's something we warned Cyril Ramaphosa about, that the experience with Zelensky should have shown us that he has no intention of listening to facts. He has no intention of hearing the side of South Africa, because he's already got a predetermination to launch an aggressive attack on the South African delegation.
Though during the meet, Ramaphosa tried to rebuff the assertions but was frequently interrupted by Trump, who repeated the claims. Bureau Report, DD India.
In other news, 2 Israeli embassy staffers were shot dead late Wednesday outside a Jewish museum in Washington, D.C. Gunfire broke out on the sidewalk outside the Capitol Jewish Museum in what is being called as an act of anti-Semitism by Israeli leaders. The victims were a young couple who planned to get married. Lone suspect has been held in custody. Washington Metropolitan Police Chief Pamela Smith said a man shot at a group of 4 people with a handgun, hitting both the victims. The suspect was identified as 30 years old. Rodriguez has been sent to custody. Meanwhile, world leaders including US, France, Germany, EU, UK expressed condolences to the families of victims and blamed anti-Semitism for shooting. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered stepped-up security measures at Israeli diplomatic missions worldwide after the incident. Meanwhile, the humanitarian crisis in Gaza continues to worsen as Israel-Hamas conflict persists. While some aid has reached the region, it remains insufficient to meet the growing needs. In the latest developments, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu reaffirmed Israel's stance on Gaza, while international calls for peace intensifies. Here's a closer look at the situation.
The humanitarian crisis in Gaza continues to worsen, with the Israel-Hamas conflict exacerbating the already dire conditions. While some aid supplies have reached the region, including assistance that helped local bakeries resume their operations, the relief has been limited, and much more is urgently needed to address the overwhelming needs.
After more than 2.5 months of border crossings being closed, certainly, the humanitarian situation in Gaza is in dire condition. What we'll need to do is to continue to bring humanitarian aid, advocate for the crossings to be open, and make sure that the food goes to the ones mostly in need.
On Thursday, trucks carrying essential humanitarian aid were seen at the Kerem Shalom border crossing in Israel. These trucks, loaded with wheat flour, oil, and canned goods, were brought to a special compound before being dispatched into Gaza. Despite Israel allowing 100 trucks of aid into Gaza, including medical supplies and baby food, UN officials have reported that distribution issues have hindered aid from reaching those who need it the most. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, speaking in Jerusalem, reaffirmed his government's stance on Gaza, reiterating its goal for the complete disarmament of Hamas and maintaining Israeli military control over the region, citing security concerns and the need for long-term stability.
Our forces are capturing more and more territories to clear them of terrorists and Hamas's terror infrastructure. And at the end of this process, all of the Gaza Strip will be under Israeli security control and Hamas will be completely defeated.
Despite ongoing international calls for a ceasefire, efforts to halt the fighting have failed. The resumption of military assaults on Gaza in March, post a 2-month ceasefire, has sparked condemnation from countries including Britain and Canada, which have historically been cautious in criticizing Israel. Netanyahu responded to these criticisms, calling it a disgrace that nations like Britain are imposing sanctions on Israel instead of Hamas. Meanwhile, in Israel, unease continues to grow amidst the continuation of the conflict, especially with the Israeli hostages still in captivity. With 58 hostages still in captivity, the situation has led to increasing tensions and demands for action to resolve the conflict. Bureau Report, DD India.
And Britain has signed a landmark agreement to cede sovereignty of the Chagos Islands to Mauritius, a move that ends decades of dispute over the remote archipelago in the Indian Ocean. The multi-billion-dollar deal finalized on Thursday ensures that the UK retains control of the strategically crucial US-UK military base on Diego Garcia through a 99-year lease. The signing had been dramatically delayed just hours earlier after a British national born in Chagos Islands won a temporary injunction in a London court. But that injunction was lifted shortly after Judge Martin Chamberlain, who ruled that Britain's national interests would be substantially prejudiced if the deal was blocked.
I signed a deal to secure the joint UK-US base on Diego Garcia. This is absolutely vital for our defence and intelligence, and therefore for the safety and security of the British people. The full assessment of why this is so important is highly classified, but I want to speak as frankly as I can. The strategic location of this base is of the utmost significance to Britain, from deploying aircraft to defeat terrorists in Iraq and Afghanistan, to anticipating threats in the Red Sea and the Indo-Pacific. The base is right at the foundation of our security and safety at home.
In welcoming the Chagos Treaty between the UK and Mauritius, India's Ministry of External Affairs in a statement said that this milestone marks the formal resolution of the long-standing dispute and completes the decolonization process of Mauritius in line with international law and a rules-based global order. India has consistently backed Mauritius's legitimate claim, reaffirming its commitment to decolonization, sovereignty and territorial integrity. As a trusted partner, India will continue working with Mauritius and other nations to bolster maritime security and stability in the Indian Ocean region. In other developments, Republican-led US House of Representatives passed a sweeping tax and spending bill that would implement key aspects of former President Donald Trump's policy agenda on Thursday. The legislation includes tax breaks on tips and car loans while increasing funding for military and border enforcement. According to the non-partisan Congressional Budget Office, it will add about $3.8 trillion to federal government's $36.2 trillion in debt over the next decade. Germany's Chancellor Friedrich Merz attends the inauguration ceremony of a German armoured brigade in Lithuania, intended to strengthen NATO's eastern flank. The decision to establish a 5,000-strong armoured brigade in Lithuania over the coming years is a response to Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. And Russian President Vladimir Putin presented state awards during a ceremony at the Kremlin Senate Palace on Thursday. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov received Russia's highest honor, the Order of St. Andrew the Apostle, the first called in the recognition of his contributions to foreign policy and long-standing state service. The award was conferred by presidential decree on March 21st, coinciding with Lavrov's 75th birthday. RT Editor-in-Chief Margarita Simoyan was also honored with the Order for Merit to the Fatherland for her role in state media. And still to come on DD India Newshour, we talk about the progress and the success on Operation Sindoor. President Draupadi Murmu presents gallantry awards in defense investiture ceremony for this year.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Our top stories. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says Operation Sindoor is not about seeking revenge but delivering justice. Asserts price of Pak-sponsored terrorism will be paid by their army and economy. External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar echoes India's stand in the Netherlands, says Operation Sindoor has a core message, a befitting reply to every terror attack. India asked Turkiye to urge Pakistan to end supporting cross-border terrorism and start acting against the terror ecosystem. And President Trump ambushes South African counterpart with claims of white genocide. President Ramaphosa counters claims, says White House visit a great success. We now return to our top story about the progress and success of Operation Sindoor. Joining me is an eminent guest. Let me welcome Ambassador Sanjay Panda, former senior diplomat. Ambassador Panda, good evening and welcome. Now, it has been a month since the terror attack of Pahalgam. How do you see and look back at Operation Sindoor and the manner in which India is seeking to very proactively disseminate the message on Pak-sponsored terror?
You know, 30 days down the line after this horrific attack in Pahalgam, there's been a lot that has happened, especially during the last 15 days. But what is more important at this point in time, that our India's position is being now brought out to the world. Right. And today, first of all, Prime Minister made things very clear in his address at Barmer. I mean, that could be meant for the domestic audience. But at the same time, I think it's important to also know that the world is listening. And External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar, his 3-nation tour right. From Copenhagen, he has come to Netherlands. And today, his interviews with the Netherlands news media, he has touched upon all the points. So, I think there is a clarity that is emerging now. Right. What we want, our message is being sent out loud and clear.
Right. I want to talk about the all-party delegations,
yes.
Fanning out across the world, taking India's perspective and message forward. How do you see the significance of the manner in which they are engaging with a cross-section of leadership across the world?
See, the message that has come out, for instance, UAE, yes. The interaction with UAE, is very encouraging. UAE, first of all, we have to understand that it was the first, among the first countries which had sent us the message of condolence and says that terrorism in any form cannot be tolerated. And it has clearly, unambiguously supported India's position today in its interaction with our delegation. So our diplomatic outreach is paying dividends. And I have no doubt that this arrangement, what the delegations which are visiting now, this face-to-face interaction will definitely help. But there is a different angle to it. That's the way they are looking at it. There's a different agenda. The Western media is still not out of their mindset.
Let's come to some of the points that Prime Minister Narendra Modi mentioned in his address, reiterating the new red lines that have been drawn, from calling out Pakistan's nuclear bluff to saying that terrorists and those supporting and sponsoring terrorists will not be seen as different entities anymore.
Yes, absolutely. So that is one thing which is clarified. That's why I see now we have clarity on what we have. Operation Sindoor has not ended. It is just at this point in time, because of the ceasefire, so it is just held in abeyance. And now Prime Minister made it very clear that any discussion with Pakistan will be on POK, Pakistan occupied Kashmir, will only be on terrorism emanating from Pak soil, nothing else. And he also, without mincing any words, said no trade, no talks, no water.
There's a clear cost to terrorism that the Prime Minister is talking about. It's a new language, it's a new vocabulary.
This is the new normal. And he has enunciated in very clear terms what he means by new normal. So I think messaging is very important, and there's a very strong message which has gone out that it cannot be business as usual. And this message is also important to the world, especially to the West, which still, for some very strange reason, tries to equate Pakistan with India. It's totally uncalled for. And the way many Western media, be it New York Times, calling this terrorists, militants, these are unacceptable. So this is, these are the Western double standards.
And just to explore these double standards a little more, the manner in which External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar has slammed Europe for particular reasons, time and again, earlier saying that India is looking for partners and not preachers. And in the latest interview to the Dutch media, he speaks about a certain duality of security concerns and economic progress, and it seems that Europe is getting a hang of it now, and India has faced it since independence. How significant is this kind of exchange and engagement with Europe?
This is very important that we can talk to Europe now on one-to-one terms. When there was a question which was posed today, why are you hesitant to impose sanctions on Russia? Then Dr. Jaishankar's response was absolutely outstanding when he said that why do you expect India to emulate the Western style of doing things? We have our own way of doing things. So you appreciate that, you respect that. You don't preach us, how we are going to conduct our affairs. Everything should not be seen through the prism of Western, ideals. That may not be ideal for us.
Right, and so it's not the first time that India has been proactive in speaking against terrorism on global platforms. Again, the same interview that we're talking about, the External Affairs Minister, he speaks about the manner in which the terror group that took responsibility of the Pahalgam terror attack, the resistant front that has links to Pakistan. India had flagged about this group with the UN Sanctions Committee.
That's right.
What is the manner in which India could do things differently? Has the international community acted sufficiently on the evidences and the cases that we've brought to them on terrorism?
Interestingly, still doubts have been raised about whether there is proof, whether there is evidence. In fact, the West, there have been many apprehensions of what India has been saying, and in fact many of them echoing the Pak narrative, which I find a little strange, for the simple reason that already there have been claims, there have been proofs which have been made available. So still if you have doubts, or then there is something, there is a different agenda which probably we fail to see at this point.
Right, but are we then talking about like a full-blown information narrative warfare, even though the guns seem to have fallen silent for now? And if that is the case, then would India's goodwill, will India's stature in the 21st century, a globalized world, play a role in taking forward India's point of view?
Yes, India's goodwill will play a role, but there are a couple of things we could do better.
Yes.
Number one, time is of essence. When something happens, don't mull over it. Go straight, convey your message. Messaging has to be on real-time basis, number one. Secondly, our diplomatic force abroad, our embassies and consulates have to be on a they have to move on a fast track. They have to, at every given opportunity, these things have to be enunciated. There has to be media interaction, interact with universities, with academics, with think tanks. So these have to be accelerated. So
and it has to be a continuous process.
It's a continuous process. It cannot be that one terror attack happens and that is when you try to do it. But still, we have to move much faster than what we've been
And also
doing.
perhaps because our adversary also would engage in us, perhaps is engaging in a similar exercise, trying to put its own perspective out there in the world.
No, absolutely. There was an event in Harvard and University and Columbia University where the narrative, the Pakistani narrative was being spelled out. Very unfortunate. So we have to counter all that.
Right. So I now want to talk about two countries in particular, our engagement with them. Now, India has made it clear that the issues between India and Pakistan are of bilateral nature, that the countries can solve it among themselves. But we've seen this tendency in Pakistan to want to internationalize issues, whether Kashmir or any other matter. In the recent instance, we've also seen the manner in which they've tried to get the influence of the US and President Trump. How does India counter this sort of a tactic?
See, I'll tell you, so far as Pakistan is concerned, it's nothing new. Pakistan has always believed in internationalizing the matter and in fact beat the Kashmir issue. When we had the Shimla agreement which said that, okay, it's a bilateral matter, but still they have gone all along, even after the Shimla agreement, taking it to internationalizing the issue. So far as the US is concerned, the US, for some strange reason, is equating Pakistan with India and describing them as nuclear powers, two nuclear powers. I mean, it's a no-brainer that a nuclear war cannot be won. And if there is any apprehension, the apprehension is nuclear arms in the hands of a rogue country. I mean, if nuclear arms with nuclear weapons with Pakistan is of concern, because we don't know if there is any civilian control on that. And you know, our now Field Marshal Munir, I mean, what his orientation is. So I don't think it's safe. But then playing the nuclear blackmail, I think we have had enough. So Prime Minister has also said that will not fall for your blackmail. So far as US is concerned, US wants to see, that is President Trump's style of functioning, to say, look, I got this done. And also Russia, Ukraine, he said immediate ceasefire. So it's not taking place. So that is his style. So we should not counter that. We have a special relationship with the US. We have clarified there's a bilateral matter. Ceasefire was bilaterally agreed at. So that is it. That enough. I mean, this itself clarifies. The message is conveyed.
Right.
So we need not go beyond that.
Right. And finally, sir, another country that has been in focus since the Pahalgam terror attack and Operation Sindoor is Turkiye.
Absolutely.
Now, what do you make of the statement that has been given by the MEA, India's appeal to Turkiye to really call out Pakistan and ask them to stop terrorism? But is that enough? What are the options that India could exercise?
Yeah, I tell you something. Turkey, what it is doing, it's a pure strategic miscalculation on their part. Now, Turkey is basically President Erdogan. The country is quite favorably disposed towards India so far as the people are concerned. They love India. But President Erdogan has this ambition to be the leader of the Muslim world, revive the Ottoman glory days and the Caliphate glory days. So that is not going to happen, but only because he has this mindset. So he is totally anything Islamic, be it Kashmir, be it Pakistan. So brotherly Pakistan is supporting, but his statements, when terrorist dies, he says the few brothers, civilians, and describing as martyrs, that doesn't go down well. Now the people have very spontaneously, the people of India, they have taken offense, and they in fact started something like ban Turkey, boycott Turkey. But so far as India is concerned, I have been saying this, we have to have a nuanced position. We cannot have knee-jerk reaction to this. We still have bilateral relations.
Right.
So with Turkey, so the messaging which has done today, asking Turkey to see reason and basically come on track, is the correct approach. Because there are a lot at stake business-wise. In the meanwhile, we have to have staggered economic strikes on Turkey, not by cancelling trade or anything, but by stopping the projects, their participation in our projects, infra projects where they have their strength, on grounds of security. So that is something what we can do. But if the people on their own decide not to visit Turkey, well, let me tell you, it's not going to hurt Turkey so much, because already on the tourism, the revenue doesn't really get into Turkey. You pay in euros.
But still an important message gets conveyed, the sentiments of the people, which is important. On that note, Ambassador Sanjay Panda, thank you very much for joining us in the studio and sharing your perspective. And President of India, Draupadi Murmu, presented gallantry awards at the Defence Investiture ceremony held at Rashtrapati Bhavan on Thursday. The ceremony was attended by several dignitaries, including Vice President of India, Prime Minister of India and Union Minister for Defence. During phase 1 of the Defence Investiture ceremony, President Murmu conferred 6 Kirti Chakras, including 4 posthumous awards, and 33 Shaurya Chakras, including 7 posthumous awards to personnel from the armed forces, Central Armed Police Forces and State and Union Territory Police. The gallantry awards were presented in recognition of extraordinary courage, unmatched bravery and complete disregard for personal safety displayed by the recipients in the line of duty. Prime Minister Modi inaugurated 103 redeveloped railway stations across India's 18 states and union territories under ambitious Amrit Bharat station scheme. It marks a major step forward in Indian Railways' ongoing transformation. Here's more.
विभिन्न परियोजनाओं का रिमोट का बटन दबाकर
The 103 Amrit Bharat stations inaugurated today span across 86 districts and 18 states in India and developed at a cost of over rupees 1,100 crores. These stations are part of a broader vision to modernize 1,300 plus railway stations nationwide under the Amrit Bharat Station Scheme, a long-term phased redevelopment program by the Indian Railways. The upgraded stations now boast of improved platforms, waiting halls, escalators, lifts, clean toilets, free Wi-Fi, executive lounges, and dedicated kiosks, which promotes local crafts under the One Station, One Product initiative. Designs inspired by regional architecture blend cultural heritage with modern amenities, making stations more than just transit points.
आधुनिक हो रहे इन रेलवे स्टेशनों को देश ने अमृत भारत स्टेशन का नाम दिया है। आज इनमें से 100 से अधिक अमृत भारत स्टेशन बनकर के तैयार हो गए। विकास भी, विरासत भी, इस मंत्र का इन अमृत भारत रेलवे स्टेशनों पर उसका नजारा साफ साफ दिखाई देता है। ये स्थानीय कला और संस्कृति के भी नए प्रतीक है।
From the Chola-style Kumbakonam in Tamil Nadu to the Sun Temple-inspired Ahmedabad station. The emphasis is on local identity. The idea is to turn stations into vibrant urban hubs, clean, accessible, and green. Special attention has been given to accessibility for Divyangjans under the Sugamya Bharat Abhiyan. Standard ramps, braille signage, tactile pathways, and accessible foot-over bridge have been added to enhance travel for passengers with reduced mobility. Over the past decade, India's railway network has seen historic reforms. The introduction of high-speed Vande Bharat trains, India's first rapid rail corridor in the national capital region of Delhi, to the superfast Amrit Bharat trains, and now the transformation of stations under Amrit Bharat, all point to a holistic upgrade of both the rolling stock and infrastructure. The Indian Railways is not just about trains anymore. It is about transforming lives, cities, and connectivity. The aim is to integrate stations with city life, provide multimodal transport access, and ensure sustainability and inclusivity. From trains to terminals, the Indian Railways is on the move. Today, once again, the Indian Railways reaffirms its commitment for future ready infrastructure. Stations are being reimagined, not just as gateways of travels anymore, but as a symbol of progress, culture, and aspiration. Dibyendu Mondal's report for DD India.
And among the stations inaugurated are the Eidgah and Fatehabad railway stations under Agra Railway Division. A program was organized at Eidgah Railway Station where Union Minister of State for Panchayati Raj, SP Singh Baghel, was present as the chief guest. Similarly, inauguration of Fatehabad Railway Station, BJP's Kisan Morcha National President Rajkumar Chahar was present. While in Assam, historic Hybergaon Railway Station in Assam's Nagaon district too was redeveloped. Established in 1887, the station has been transformed into a modern facility with retaining its cultural heritage. Serving some 1,200 passengers daily, Hybergaon is now set to become a symbol of progress, blending tradition with innovation. Located in one of Nagaon's main commercial hubs, it will serve as a modern transportation hub, enhancing travel for locals and visitors. While in Uttar Pradesh, Saharanpur railway station was redeveloped under Amrit Bharat station scheme. The inauguration ceremony organized by railways at the station began with a cultural program. Saharanpur station has been redeveloped at a cost of 15 crore rupees as part of central government's Amrit Bharat station scheme. Let's now take a look at other stories making news today. Union Minister Jitendra Singh on Thursday inaugurated two landmark research hubs, Sagar Bhavan and Polar Bhavan, at the National Institute of Polar and Ocean Research in Goa. These are India's first of their kind facilities among only a few worldwide designed to boost research on climate change and weather patterns. In a landmark feat, a team of National Institute of Mountaineering and Adventure Sports successfully summited Mount Kanchenjunga on May 18th, marking the grand finale of Har Shikhar Tiranga campaign. The campaign aimed to hoist the national flag atop the highest point of all 28 Indian states, symbolizing unity and national pride through the spirit of adventure. The 14th India-UK Executive Steering Group meeting between Indian and British armies was held in New Delhi and Hisar from May 20th to 21st. Both sides explored deeper collaboration in niche technologies, operational training, and enhancing interoperability and capability development, strengthening the growing India-UK defence ties. Roland Garros on Thursday announced players' draw for French Open starting 25th of May. Defending men's champion Carlos Alcaraz opens his title defence against Japan's former world number 4 Kei Nishikori. Novak Djokovic, who is aiming for a standalone record 25th Grand Slam, has been pitted against American Mackenzie McDonald. Djokovic could face Sinner in the semi-finals. And Sinner, beaten by Spain's Carlos Alcaraz in the Italian Open final on Sunday in his comeback tournament, was drawn in the same half as 24 times Grand Slam champion Novak Djokovic, last year's runners-up Alexander Zverev, and several French hopefuls at Roland Garros. The Lever Cup, a team tournament co-created by Roger Federer and his agent Tony Gottsick, is officially set to return to London next year. The Lever Cup is an annual 3-day competition between Team Europe and Team World, named after Australian legend Rod Laver. Since the inaugural Cup in Prague in 2017, the competition has been held in Chicago, Geneva, Boston, London, Vancouver and Berlin. The 2025 tournament will take place at the Chase Center in San Francisco from 19th to 21st September. The 2026 edition will take place at the O2 Arena from September 25th to 27th in its 9th edition. After 12 glittering years in Spanish capital, Croatian star soccer player Luka Modric has announced that he will leave Real Madrid following this summer's FIFA World Cup. The Croatian maestro, who has been the heartbeat of Madrid's midfield since 2012, became the most decorated player in the club's illustrious history. Modric has won 28 trophies, including 6 Champions Leagues and 4 domestic titles since joining Real from Spurs in 2012. 39-year-old Croatia midfielder will play the last match at Real's Bernabeu home when they welcome Real Sociedad on Saturday in their final La Liga game of the season. Modric will remain with the squad for their Club World Cup campaign in the United States next month, which will mark the last time he wears the famous white shirt on Spanish soil. That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen and download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.